deeply touched that you all came. Thank you very, very much for being here. Feel like we're a tight-knit family because we all have a strong purpose, which is to walk in the footsteps of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and go out into the great unknown to give people an opportunity to take the Krishna consciousness, sum and substance of the service of the Sankirtan movement. And as a sociological experiment, if you see a seat in front of you, these are all saved in front, I guess, right? If you see a few seats in front of you and you fill them in, it creates a better sense of connection. It's kind of like internet. Closer you are, better. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This morning will be some practical tips about distributing books. And to start with, I'll talk about a couple of principles for distribution that you might find helpful. As a review from yesterday, we're making conscious connections with the people that we meet wherever we go. A conscious connection. The more we're aware as we're making a connection that those we're connecting with are spiritual beings. They all have a history, and they're all part and parcel of Krishna. The more empathy we'll have, the less condescending we'll be, and the more relatable our countenances will be, because when we have a sense of Krishna's presence in people's hearts, and that they're parts and parcels of Krishna, on a long journey here in the material world, albeit misplaced, and people can feel our purpose is benevolent. Also, we can take it for granted that people walking around in the world have a false sense of themselves called ahankara. This is the mainstay of the material existence, is false sense of identity, that I'm this body. And we have to take that into account also, appreciating that people identify with their body. I mentioned yesterday that when you take a moment to make people feel special, as we're connecting with people, we can think of them as spirit souls, but also appreciate the fact that they identify with their bodies. And therefore, if we notice whatever care they've taken to present themselves in a particular way, it helps to make a connection. For instance, if you notice that somebody's color coordinated, or that their hair is coiffed in a meticulous way, or they have shoes that are trending at the time, or whatever it may be, although that sounds superficial, it's one of the ways to appreciate people, because that's their tadiya, whatever paraphernalia they have. Especially if somebody has a dog, on the principle of love me, love my dog. Don't praise them, praise their dog, because they care more about their dog, because their dog is their best friend. That's a principle. Make people feel special. And as I'll speak about in the distribution of books, communication is key. And one principle of communication that I'll talk about today is that whoever's asking questions is helping to direct the conversation. So if we tell, then people may or may not listen. But if we ask, then we compel them to move in a certain way or think in a certain way. Not for manipulation, but to guide them to Krishna by asking. So that's a principle. Whoever's asking the questions is controlling the conversation. And since we have an agenda, it's helpful for us to control the conversation. What are the first two things I said? Principles. Make a conscious connection. Make people feel special. And asking questions leads the conversation. I'll interject at this point a question that you can ask people that is very helpful in orienting the conversation towards the topic of them accepting the holy name and the book and the lifestyle of Krishna consciousness. They may decide on the spot to wholesale dedicate themselves to the process of sadhana bhakti if you ask these questions. One question is, what's your secret? What's your secret? That's 4 words technically. You want to try saying that? And why is this question pivotal? It's because when we're in public, obviously canvassing for a cause, it's implicit that we're condescending. Because in general, our body language and our very presence there indicates that we feel that they could be doing a lot better. And that we're doing better than they are. Otherwise, why would we be asking them to take something and listen to us? However, that's not a sanguine relationship for most people walking down the street who don't know us and don't yet trust us. So a way to cross the bridge from condescension to friendship is to change the relationship by, instead of presenting oneself as the expert, making them the expert. Or if I were to put it in an analogy, I would say, instead of you sitting on a vyasasana and talking to them about what's what, put them on the vyasasana and then appreciate whatever they say. So when you ask people, what's your secret? You're implying that they know something very special. So try asking that question again. What's your secret? Yeah, if you ask somebody, what's your secret? You're implying that they know something that's, in the context of the presentation, that's extra special, and that they're an expert on something. So let's review the principles I've already spoken about. Number 1 was conscious connection. Before we go to the next ones, I'll just mention about making a conscious connection. The eyes are the key. And after the eyes come the face. The brain has an AI system that's connected to the eyes and the face. And so if you smell something that's odoriferous, you may crinkle your face or your nose like that. That's AI. It sends a message and the AI impulse says, crinkle your face to express yourself. If you hear something familiar that makes you happy, then the AI impulse goes to your mouth and your eyebrows and you may go like this. It's an AI impulse. And everybody, we can take it for granted from the Bhagavad Gita, is in a particular mode of nature or combination of modes of nature. So there's a predictability about people's reactions according to their situation within the modes of material nature. And just as an astrologer can look at the various houses and the planets in a relationship with them, after much study and some mystic power through doing sadhana, an astrologer then can have a general idea of a person's trajectory in life and perhaps their past. And in a similar way, when we develop an awareness of the AI feature that's built into every robot, biological robot that's walking around out there with the soul inside, we can read the various movements of their countenance. And from that, we can make an estimate of their level of interest. That's the important metric. How interested are they? Because what we're doing is looking for people who are more than, or at least moderately interested, and maybe just a tick above that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if you look at a spectrum from 1 to 10, up to 5, you'll be able to read their face, make a conscious connection. At 1, they will ignore you and pretend like you don't exist. That's a deliberate reaction. You can't deny consciousness because denial is an act of consciousness itself. It's a lesson also when we're there in consciousness. It takes a lot of strain to ignore somebody, and it's very painful, causes darkness. That's why the material world's dark. We're ignoring Krishna. And as you move up the scale, getting closer to 5, people may acknowledge you, but the AI feature in their face will express non-interest. When you get to 5, if you interact with somebody by looking at their eyes, by gesturing to them, either like this, or like this, or like this, there are various gestures you can use, and you can observe their countenance. Out of 5, they may smile but not show their teeth. So they may go like this. That's what we call fake smile, because they don't really mean it, but they also don't want to ignore you completely. That's around 4.9 or 5. But when you get to 5.1, if you gesture to somebody in a friendly, affable way, they may smile, but because of the impulses coming into their face, they may then show their teeth a little bit and go like this. 5.1. So within a millisecond, in interacting with someone, we could read their countenance and understand 1 to 10. You can only imagine as you go up the scale to 5.2, 3, 4, 5, then you get up to 6, 7, 8. Then you get people at 8. They'll start following you around and say, when can we go back to the temple? And 10 means they're already fully self-realized. And you can initiate them on the sidewalk. But that's our job, because we're not trying to convince everyone, we're trying to select. Ours is a process of selection rather than trying to convince everybody. So we have to be discriminate. What do we have to be? Yes, our endeavors should be discriminatory. So that's the first thing, a conscious connection. What's the second?
Asking the questions leads to the conversation.
Asking questions leads to conversation, then make people feel special. What does that require to make people feel special? It requires that you feel confident in yourself to be able to make other people feel special. That's why you have to chant good rounds. When you feel blissful you feel like making other people feel blissful. Have you ever noticed that? Like, if you get good news, you don't just go take a nap. You start calling people on your phone and saying, guess what happened? Because you want them to share the good news. And the next one?
No, the expert, but put them in position of expert.
Yeah. Make them feel special. And then this question is a key question. Everyone say the question.
What's your secret?
What's your secret implies that they know more than you do, and they have something very special about them that they can share with you. And that changes the relationship from us condescending to them and us putting them in a position of authority. As I put it, you put them on the Vyasasana and say, yes, please teach me. Instead of, I'm here to teach you, please listen. Then they close down. But if you say, I'm here to learn from you, right here on this street corner, it's my great fortune I've met somebody who has special knowledge. Please teach me. That's our way to make a heart-to-heart connection and open their hearts to our presence before them. So having said that, we have knowledge that's incomparable. The Bhagavad Gita is the one scripture in the world where you have the Supreme Personality of Godhead speaking directly to us. And we can also take it for granted that when we are able to encourage them to take a book with them, especially the Bhagavad Gita, that they have a way much better chance of utilizing the human form of life for its highest purpose. Minus the Bhagavad Gita, there's not much chance. If they watched 1 million YouTube videos, minus any of the devotional ones, self-help, philosophy, it doesn't equal one verse of the Bhagavad Gita. If they listen to 1 billion self-help YouTubes, it doesn't come anywhere close to one verse in the Bhagavad Gita. And so we also have to have an awareness that what we're imparting to them ends their wandering in the material world and gives them a direct access to Krishna through the words of the Bhagavad Gita. It's important to keep in mind how valuable the product is that we're presenting to people. It's not just a book, it's directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in presenting Bhagavad Gita to any person, there are a few steps that I've conceived of that can be really helpful. And now speed learning, please watch. Let it all go in your subconscious. There'll be a quiz on this later. Good? Here are 8 stages in the anatomy of distributing a Bhagavad Gita. First is radar. Because we're conscious living beings, we have built-in capabilities for looking at the world and interpreting it. And we could very precisely interpret the feelings of a particular person that we want to interact with, which is what I just described in the preamble to this presentation, right?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
And so the first is radar. Second is qualified. Let's say them all together. Or you all say them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's how it works. Radar is a means of understanding, in this case, how fast somebody's going, velocity. And the radar gun shoots a wave, it bounces back, it gives a reading. Remember I was describing a spectrum of 1 to 10 levels of openness of a person? Do you remember that? And so our radar is built in. And if you look at somebody, you'll notice that you have an immediate exchange with them on that spectrum of 1 to 10. Any person you look at. Here's a question for you. What is a glance? Anybody want to answer? What is it? Yes. It's what? It's a very quick look. I like that. Yes, it is. It's a very quick look. Now let me ask it a different question. What's in a glance? What?
The first impression.
The first impression? Think like a physicist. How would you analyze what a glance is? What is that energy? Yes? It's what?
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement? Warm or cold? Anybody else? There's a physicist back here. Go ahead. Prabhu, go ahead. We don't have extra mics here, right? And if we do, we would care not to, we'd rather not use them. Okay, go ahead.
The light bouncing off of that person flying into your eyeball.
So is a glance, is it light? I mean, I could turn on my iPhone and I can point a beam from it, and you could talk about transference of energy and it's light. So it's kind of light energy. Can anybody say more about what a glance is physically, or if it's non-physical? Yes?
It's an appraisal.
It's an appraisal. That's more of a description of what it does, not what it is physically or metaphysically. Yes? Here, give him the mic. Pass the mic adroitly as fast as you can so everyone gets a chance. Go ahead.
It's an invite to a connection.
That's telling what it's doing. I want more physical description. Go ahead, physicists in the back.
Making a contact.
No, it is, but that's not what I'm asking. What is it? Somebody said light. Is it light? Is it a light coming from a cell phone? Why don't you just point your cell phone at your wife next time and say, here, I'm watching you. Is it the same thing? Go ahead. Who's got it in the back? Whoever's got the mic can speak. Yes. Go.
Two souls seeing each other.
Two souls?
Seeing each other.
Okay. Who else has an answer?
Consciousness.
Yeah, it's consciousness. You know what starts the whole material creation? It's a glance. It's the glance of Mahavishnu, right? When Mahavishnu looks at the material nature, that's what he does. He glances and he impregnates it with consciousness. All the living beings then spring up in the material world like seeds. We got a Kumbh Mela situation. Okay. So it's really hard to define what a glance is unless you go into metaphysics, because it's an extension of our consciousness. In fact, the Bible says if you look at something, and Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayam, if you look at something with an intention to control or enjoy it, you bought it. You touch it, that's yours. You bought it. You went there. You go there with your consciousness. So there's a profound experiment in consciousness when we're out interacting with living entities. They've got their glance and we have our glance. And so when we look at someone, just as when Mahavishnu looks at Prakriti, the whole chain of events, sequence unfolds. So when we look at somebody, it's initiating a relationship. In fact, that you can see in poetry and in movies, such and such looks at so and so. And then what happens? They fall in love because there's two conscious beings then interacting. So it's highly consequential when you look at somebody and when they look at you. And this is very important because we have to be extremely observant when we go out. So our radar means we make that deliberate glance and we're waiting to see the reading that comes back. Just like you shoot that gun. If you go like this to somebody, he did it back, see? There was a response because I'm conscious, he's conscious, and I just shot some energy at him and he felt it. He went like that. And if I go like this to somebody, hi. See? So a few hands came up. I'm moving the energy in the room right now. You may think, oh, yeah, well, that's just you're waving at people. That's energy moving. Hi. See? A few more hands came up because the energy is going out, it's coming back. And this is the first stage, is conscious contact with the people that you meet. You want to look and send your energy out. It's very purposeful, just like Mahavishnu, when he looks at material nature, he's thinking out of compassion. And it's his Leela, Shrishti Leela. He looks to the material nature, and the Shrishti Leela has to do with, I'm going to save the souls from the mire of material existence. That's what he thinks when he looks. And then the glance starts the whole creation of the material world. Time energy enters into Prakriti. Prakriti then bifurcates and trifurcates and then goes into myriad forms, 3 modes of material nature. It all starts from one glance. So this is where the distribution begins. We're distributing our consciousness. That's why you have to chant really good rounds, because if you have pure consciousness, when you go out and meet people, you're putting that towards them and they feel it. And so the first thing is radar. You have to have your radar out. And this is extremely important, what I'm about to say, is we have to be discriminatory. When you hit somebody with your conscious glance, there's almost, then you look to see what state of consciousness they're in, and you can analyze it. And if someone is a 5 or below, you just let them go. That's my mantra. 5 or below, let them go. Okay, that's radar. So everyone try it out on somebody here in the room. Make a conscious contact with somebody. You can make an emoji. Go, 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 go. Find somebody and make an emoji. Make put a glance. Glance at somebody. I'm looking at Divyanam. He smiled at me. And it's scary. It's scary. Because it hits you. It's very powerful, the glance that you have. Right? That's why if you're driving on the, what's that called? The M5? What's that infamous freeway called? M25? Say you're driving in the M25, but if you would try this just for fun, just to stay awake while you're driving, when you get up next to somebody in their car, just look at them and see what happens. They're like, your glance hit them. They reacted. It's creative. It's substantial. It's consciousness. It's going out into the world. So this radar, this is the first step. You have to become highly aware of your own glance. And you also have to hone that glance by chanting, practicing, purifying your consciousness, your intention. If your intention is, I want to perform and have everybody acknowledge me that I sold a book today, it's a different glance. The glance is different. It doesn't hit people the same way. If your consciousness is pure and you're thinking, I'm executing the order of Krishna, and I'm a servant and I'm an instrument, it's not me, it's him, and I'm using my glance as an extension of his for the Shrishti Leela to save a soul. Then when people see you, when they feel your glance, they get that. Consciousness is transferred from the glance. So you get the reading back from each person, and the ones who are 5.1 and above, then you have a next step. And here's the next step, which is, and the hand power goes like this. If you hold your hand up like this, pointed at somebody, there's a lot of power in your hand. Because it's a gesture, hi. Or how about this? See the hand, how powerful it is? If you do this, sometimes I've seen people across the street and they go hi, and they go hi, and I go like this. They walk through traffic just to touch. Power in the hand, because we're conscious beings. Any way people can make contact, it makes them feel whole. Then from hand power, we have qualified, because in general, people are unaware of what your intention is and why you might be approaching them. Therefore, they'll assume that you want something from them because everybody wants something from them. So you're best served by qualifying them before you show them what you want them to take, which is the book. And so a simple way to qualify people is by announcing where you live and asking where they live. So for instance, I might say to somebody, if I was in Bushy, and I would say to people, I'm from San Francisco, where are you from? And they would say Bushy. I say, I love Bushy. I've been to Bushy. Fantastic, Bushy. This is from San Francisco to Bushy. I just qualified them. What's their qualification?
They're from Bushy.
They're from Bushy. Okay, so that's qualified. Next is trust the hand, because we might encounter somebody who's a 5.1, and even though we qualified them that they're from Bushy, and they're not sure if they're going to take it or not, they're not sure about the interaction, they're not sure they even wanted to stop, but they did anyway. The liminal space. Although their mind is thinking that, the hand is a different entity. Hand likes to grab things. So if you go like this to people and watch, did you see how Bhagavat Prana's hand came out? Here, stand up here, I'll show them. And when I show it to you, then shake your head no. This is an English, UK thing, not Indian. So let's say you're saying no, but your hand takes it anyway. So you trust the hand, because you have to be a little bit proactive to help them move along, because they're not sure yet what's going to happen. And so they may hesitate. So you have to deal with the hand. Trust that their hand has its own volition. And so that mind's going no, but then the hand goes, I'll do it anyway, because that's what I do. It's my dharma. I grab stuff when it comes towards me. And it's a lot harder for them, because their mind's going, their intellect's saying, don't do it, it's a trap. And then their hand goes, oh, what the heck, I'll take it. Thank you. So you put the book in their hand, but as you're putting the book in their hand, it's helpful to tell them one sentence of what is in the product. And so this is a mantra that I use as I'm handing them the book, and you can memorize this. Books on yoga and meditation that show you how to get free from stress. This is a kind of innocuous presentation because it has the words yoga, meditation, and stress. And they didn't hear religion, they didn't hear God, they didn't hear surrender everything and give up all your possessions and go to the forest. They didn't hear any of that. All they heard was yoga, meditation, and stress. And so it's helpful then when you're handing the book over to give them an introduction. And if you'll stand back up again, the time that I do it is when I'm handing the book over. So it takes, if you time this, that takes maybe a second, right? And it also takes a second to say this. So I'm from San Francisco. Where are you from?
Fremont.
Bushy. Bushy. I love Bushy. I've been to Bushy. I like people from Bushy. This is from San Francisco to Bushy, books on yoga and meditation, shows how to get free from stress. So that line goes along with the flight of the book. Imagine it as a flight. This is the airplane. It's taking off from San Francisco, and it's going to land in Bushy. And so during the flight, the movie that's showing is Books on Yoga and Meditation, shows you how to get free from stress. And then it goes into his hand with the word stress. You got that? Any question? Okay. So now, what do I need according to my theory of communication? Yes?
So I have a question, yes. You said the book was in your hand already, or you put it in your...
It's in my hand.
Was in your hand?
Oh, no. That's another detail. And one thing is, I don't stand around with a book in my hand, because they may see you from 2 blocks away, and you're telegraphing that I'm after you with this book. So I keep the book under my arm, I'll keep it in a bag, or I'll have somebody else hold the books next to me, and I'm hands-free, because I can't hurt you. I don't have anything in my hand, so yes. And what's the next thing, logically, according to what I said about communication, that I should do now? Who said that? Yes, ask a question. Nandavraja, thank you. I need a question, and why do I need a question? Because question is a hook. It holds everything in place. Because people are moving, they want to keep moving, they want to go somewhere else. But now if you ask them a question, it holds everything in place. So the question is coming. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. 1/3 of the audience is ready. Everybody else, go back to sleep. Here's the question. You've heard of stress before, right?
Yes.
What's your answer?
Yes.
Okay, normally we say don't ask a yes or no question, because if they say no, then the whole thing stops. And in this case, because it's well calculated ahead of time, if they say yes or no, it's still okay. You want me to prove it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'll ask the question again and you say no. You've heard of stress before, right?
No.
I can tell you don't look stressed at all. And if they do say they're yes, then it's the same. You just keep moving through. So then the next thing is, really, you don't look stressed, you look spiritual. So these are 2 statements. And maybe next time I'll put them in 2 slides. But here's the thing. You said, you've heard of stress. And it's a kind of colloquial way of talking about stress. And people generally will say something like, oh yeah, of course I'm stressed. Or if somebody is trying to stay aloof from your presentation, they'll say, no, I'm not stressed at all, because then they think, okay, I'll wriggle out of this. But you say, yeah, I could tell you don't look very stressed at all. It goes either way, as I just said. But then the next statement is extremely important. The 2 statements that I mentioned one already, which is, it's a question. Yeah, it's not a question, it's a statement. I'm not a statement, a question. What's your secret? And right before that, you say, you look spiritual. These 2 questions, this statement and the question go together like peanut butter and jelly. So, you look spiritual. What's your secret? Could you please say those 2 things?
What's your secret? You look spiritual. 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 What's your secret?
Now, if you want to forget everything that I presented last night and everything I'm about to present, and you only remember those 2 things, you can go around and distribute books to anyone, anywhere. You just walk up to people and say, you look spiritual, what's your secret? That's all you have to say. And it's like a box of treasure just opened. It's like saying abracadabra. It opens. So now turn to somebody and very sincerely make those 2 utterances. Turn to somebody and say it. How'd you do? How did it go? How did you feel about that? It was good? How did you feel about being asked? Does it feel invasive? Not so much. Now here's a philosophical point about these two utterances. When you put them together and you ask somebody this anywhere, they achieve another state of consciousness, the next state of consciousness, by these two utterances. The soul, ontologically, never connects with material nature, as they're categorically different. There is no connection. In fact, Krishna says to Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that the word liberation is a misnomer because we're never actually bound. So when you say to somebody, you look spiritual, what's your secret? It gives them a sense of instant self-realization. Because they're a soul, after all. The body is superfluous, 100%. And when you say, you look spiritual, they suddenly remember that they're not their body and that they have an eternal connection with God in the spiritual world. Albeit subliminally, but it's there. Let's talk about the effect of people's observations of us. Have you ever walked out of your ashram and had somebody come up to you and say, you look tired? Have you ever had that?
Yes.
Only 3 people?
Yes.
How do you feel after that? Or you go to the mirror and you're looking like, yeah, maybe I do look tired. All day long you're thinking about it, and you go home and you say, hey, do I look tired? Like, yeah, you look tired. Like, uh-oh. Or what if somebody comes up to you and they go, you look terrible? How do you feel? Yeah, then you go to other people and say, how do I look to you? We're very protective of or deliberate about the way we present ourselves to the world, and everybody wants to look all spruced up when they go out and meet people. They don't like it if somebody says, oh, you look tired, you look sick, you look terrible. And all of these affect the consciousness of the person as soon as somebody observes that, whether it's true or not. And what's really true is they're spiritual. And they do have a secret, which is that they're eternal servant of Krishna. They've just forgotten it. So if you make the statement and then ask the question, there's a chemical reaction, just like epoxy glue. When I was a kid, there used to be 2 tubes because it wasn't like super glue where you just do one thing and it sticks together. It always annoyed me as a kid. I tell my father, why they have to have 2 tubes? Because when they mix together, that's when there's a chemical reaction, and then it becomes a solid on a molecular level, and it holds the thing together. So these 2 things go together. And what are they? And if you just walk up to people all day long and said, excuse me, you look spiritual, what's your secret? I guarantee you'll sell tons of books. Because people are in a state of self-realization when you ask these 2 questions. And when you hand the book over, they'll remember, I'm spirit soul. It's like, yeah, I've been waiting for this my whole life. So this is an important sequence. And then you take the book back when they tell you their secret. So when people tell you their secret, according to their orientation, they're going to say what their secret is. So some people will say that they smoke marijuana. That's why they're so enlightened, because that's how they feel they can elevate their consciousness. Other people say, I have an MBA, very organized, place for everything in its place, little rajas. And some people say, I do meditation, and therefore that's why I'm spiritual. And some people say, I have no idea. So then you have to help them out a little bit by saying, you must come from a good family. Say that. And then some people say, no, I don't. Then I say, then you must just be a natural. And so you help them along at this point, and that's when you take the book back. See, you've put them on the Vyasasana, right? Because here we go, a little review. Are you ready? Is everyone okay?
Yes.
Radar, hand power goes along with the radar. Hi. Then qualify. I'm from San Francisco. Where are you from? I love Bushy. I know people in Bushy. And books on yoga and meditation shows you how to get free from stress. You've heard of stress, right?
Yes.
Really? Because you don't look stressed at all. What's your secret? Oh, you look spiritual. What's your secret? You look spiritual. What's your secret? Then take the book back. And the mode of taking the book back is, I knew you knew this. That's what your body language is saying. I could understand that you already know all about this. It's like, here, I'll show you your book really quick. So I take the book back and I say to them, here, I'll show you really quick. And then you have the book here. And you can show on the back cover that Gandhi read it. And you can mention a few more people, like George Harrison. You've heard of him, right? Of course you have. He's a national hero. So George Harrison, you can add. Who are others who are known to the Brits? Huh? Albert Einstein,
Queen.
the Beatles. Has the Queen read it? The Queen.
Will Smith.
Make a list. Is he English? Okay, you can put in any other famous person. Tupac Shakur. Tupac read this. He was a fan of Bhagavad Gita. So if you make a list, for myself, I say Thoreau, Emerson, Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Albert Einstein, the Beatles, Tupac Shakur. I just name them off that the people have read the book. It's not a participatory part. I'm just throwing names out there because it builds some sense of confidence in them. And then I open the book to a Sanskrit verse like this. You see here on the screen, but I'm pointing to it here in this microscopic book I'm holding in my hand. And I point to the Sanskrit text and I say, can you read this? And generally people say, no, I can't read it. Right?
Yes.
Generally. And then I say, I just tested you. It's actually been translated into English, and I point to the English. And then that leads to the next point, which has been translated into English over 400 times in many other languages. And then, out of all the translations, this has become extremely popular academically. Now, in the front of the book, so we showed the very back cover. Now, in the front of the book, you have these universities listed. So then you can mention a couple of the universities, like University of Chicago, or how about, you don't put as many in your book. Georgetown University, that's a good one. You've heard of Georgetown? The Hoyas, yeah. And so you mentioned a couple of universities. Then this is show and tell time. We're show and telling. You can say it's endorsed. We've got Georgetown, University of Southern California. And then changing bodies. This picture comes. You got to get used to opening the book and finding the picture so you don't keep them waiting, but here it is. The changing bodies. Can you see that? And so we show them changing bodies and say, look, we're just passing through. And if you want to engage them a little more, you say, where are you in this? And then they'll point to a place in here where they are. Then the next one is, we open to this page and say, look at a self-realized person treats everyone with respect. Say it. Because he or she sees beyond the superficial body and sees the essence or the spirit within the body. The key word here is respect, because people are allergic to sectarianism. And if you talk about universal respect based on seeing beyond the body, that's a really a big plus point in the presentation. A self-realized person treats everyone with respect because he or she sees God or the spirit within everyone's heart. Say that. And now a question. We need another question, right? You've heard of karma, right? You say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've karma, right? What is it? Then I say, what does it mean to you?
What is it?
Yeah. So then what do people say generally? Consequence, or they say, what goes around comes around. And at this point, it really doesn't matter what they say, because the next reaction is key. Are you ready for the next reaction?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to go like this. Watch me, and then do what I do after I finish it. Whoa, I really like the way you put things. If more people in the world thought like you, it would be a better world to live in. So just do the first part and go, whoa, whoa. I really like the way you put things. If more people in the world thought like you, it would be a better place to live. And so then it now comes to humor. So there's a picture in the book of a yogi who hasn't had a mani-pedi for a long time. He's got long fingernails and toenails, and his hair's been growing for hundreds of years, and he just decided to leave his body by the soul popping out of the head. You know this picture?
Yes.
And you know what this guy used to do? He used to be a Sunday school teacher. Now this is the part where the fun comes in, because you need a little laugh before you close the whole deal. So here it comes. You ask, what do you do professionally? They say, I'm a civil engineer. They say, I'm a Sunday school teacher. They say, I'm a dancer. You say, and you point to this picture, you say, really? This guy used to be a civil engineer. You say, really? This guy used to be a Sunday school teacher. They say, a dancer, and you say, really? This guy used to be a dancer. And when you point to it and they see it, 50% of the people will immediately start laughing. And the other 50% they want to be respectful. They're not taking anything for granted. They want to offend your presentation, so they'll say, really? And then you can let them in on the joke and you say, no, not really, I'm just kidding. And then they feel free to laugh and they'll go, ha, ha, ha. But 100% of the people laugh because it's one of the funniest presentations in the history of book distribution. Now, as soon as they laugh, as soon as you hear ha, 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 that's when you hand the book back. If you could come back up again. And I'd like to ask you, what do you do professionally?
I'm a student
A student. What kind of student?
studying data science.
This guy used to study data science. Now he's laughing, right? So that I close the book, and this is when I hand the book back to him. I say, we don't sell it. That's the first thing I say when I'm handing it back. We don't sell it, and when it's in his hand, I say, like in a bookstore. We only ask for a donation. We don't need the money, but it's an ancient tradition. When you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, it connects you to the previous teachers and allows you to enter deeply within the knowledge. It's kind of like a penance to give something for the book. Now, I know that's long. Thank you very much. But it's well thought out, because generally with donations, when you ask for a donation, people will say, how much is it, or something like that. And you can tell them. You can say, they generally cost us for printing, shipping, and storage, handling, they cost about $10. Anything you give over that is a donation. But the preamble telling them why we're asking for the donation is highly effective. That we don't need the money, but when you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, it connects you. They appreciate that. And also, if you tell them straight out that it's a penance, we don't need the money, but it's a penance on your part so you can read the book. It's so blatant, it's so straightforward that it takes people by surprise because they're thinking you're going to say you're feeding starving children or opening hospitals or something like that, and they're going to say, I already give for that. But no, that's not what it's for. It's for you to do a penance. And if you say that, just be very bold and practice saying that, then you'll see that their idea of what the donation is changes completely. And then you can say it costs such and such. Another thing you can say when they're getting ready to give a donation, which can be either in cash, which is rarer and rarer every day, or scanning card, which we'll have out there ready for people to scan, is that you can say something like, they'll say, how much should I give? Say, we try to keep it under $100 or £100, but in your case, we're thinking about making an exception. They're just ways of saying something that's glib, that has to do with amounts. Like some people say, well, we try to keep it under a million pounds, but in your case, we're thinking about making an exception. If you have something that's a little cute during that time, it's kind of like when you go to get an injection and they go, okay, You've heard of that new broom company, right? What is it? It's sweeping the nation. And then they, whoop, So a few comebacks. They say, I already know all about this. That's the best one to hear. And somebody, I already know this. So the principle of a comeback is acknowledge it, accept it. Don't try to reject it. Don't try to push it back at them. So they say, I already know all about this. You say, I could tell. In fact, I dramatize it. I say, we were standing over here watching you, and we could tell that you already know all about this. Because as soon as you acknowledge it and you accept their objection, then it neutralizes it. And so they say, I'm a Buddhist. I'm a Buddhist. So let's say I'm handing the book to someone and they say I'm a Buddhist. Books on yoga and meditation shows you how to get free from stress. And he says, oh, okay, here. And they take the book back because I didn't give him the Buddha book. And I find the other one, like I'll reach for another book like Krishna book or Sri Upanishad, which just happened the other day when we were at what are those markets called? The green market? Yeah.
Flea market?
No.
Farmer's market.
Farmer's market. And this woman, I showed her the book. She said, oh, I'm a Buddhist. And started giving it back. I said, oh, sorry about that, Buddhist. And I told her, give me the Buddha book. And then I took the Sri Upanishad and I said, here, for you. And so whatever they say, you just accept it. They say, I'm a Muslim.
I'm a Muslim.
Oh, okay, here, let me give you the other book. You give them the other one. Because they say, I'm a Muslim, and no, keep it anyway. Then the resistance increases. But you accept it back, you honor their objection, and you accommodate it. So I already know everything.
I already know everything.
I could tell. We were watching you all the way from here. 3 of us, we were discussing. He looks like somebody who knows everything. Or people say, I'm a life member. And you're like, we could tell. We were watching and said, he looks like a life member. And then it becomes moot. You just erased it, whatever the objection was, because you honored it. So anything they say, and if they're starting to give the book back, you can see a lack of interest based on their designation. Honor the designation and accommodate it. Okay? Thank you. You were going to say?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are you selling this? That's another great one. You want them to ask you this. Are you selling this? Have anybody ever asked you that? That's like, in cricket, you're just about to hit a sixer. Because that's the pitch you're waiting for. They go, are you selling this? No, we refuse to sell this. We will not sell it because it's too valuable. We only ask for a donation. And we try to keep it under £100, but in your case, we try to make an exception. It neutralizes it. They say, you're selling this, right? They go, we refuse to sell it. We'll never sell this. It's way too valuable to sell. We take donations, and we try to keep it under £1 million. Okay, how much should I donate? We try to keep it under $100, but in your case, I'm thinking about making an exception. Do you believe in the power of prayer? After they buy the book, you can ask them if they believe in the power of prayer. And what if they say no? You know, somebody's an agnostic or an atheist or something. Believe in the power of prayer, say no.
No.
Perfect. You say perfect. Because again, you honor their objection and you accommodate. You believe in the power of prayer, right? Perfect. I'm going to give you a mantra. So you just switch it to a mantra from a prayer. And then you hand them a card and you say, this is a beautiful prayer. It's meant to wake up love for God in the heart. And then repeat after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Okay. Then you give them prasadam. And lollipops. Does anybody have a lollipop in here? I'd like to have Exhibit A. This, dear devotees, is a lollipop. Say lollipop. It just makes you happy when you say lollipop. You're like, lollipop. What's your life like? It's like a lollipop. I'm like, wow. You must be living really a good life, a lollipop. Because this is candy on a stick. And it doesn't get any better than that in life. It's simple, doesn't argue back, it tastes good. You got the stick hanging out of your mouth, it looks cool. Everything about a lollipop awakens the sense of ananda within the heart of every living entity, even monkeys. If you throw it to them really fast, especially the rhesus monkeys. The rhesus monkeys, I'll show you in slow motion what it looks like when you throw a rhesus monkey a lollipop. They go like this. They immediately, and then they start going, because they're so passionate. But if it's the other kind of monkey, what's the other one called? The big one, the Hanuman monkey. The langurs. The langurs, if you give a langur, they'll go, thank you, sir. And the rhesus, two different personalities, but candy on a stick. Prabhupada gave us permission in 1972. Batu Gopal, Cleveland, Ohio, he saw the Salvation Army giving out candy canes for Christmas, and he said, we're going to do candy canes because it's so productive. Somebody wrote in and said, Batu Gopal's bogus. He wrote to Prabhupada. Batu Gopal's bogus. He's buying candy cane, Karmi candy canes, and giving them out to people on the street for donations. And Prabhupada wrote back and said, what is the harm? He said in India, all the pujaris go to a sweet shop and they buy hard candies and they offer it directly to the deities and they give it away as Mahaprasadam. So he said, I give you permission. There's simple candy, you can offer it directly to the deity from that day forward. You look on the offering plate, there would be several varieties of lollipops, candy on a stick, for the greatest weapon. And in fact, I recommend you always keep these in your bag wherever you go. When we're traveling, everybody in the airport that we meet, you're at the ticket counter, give them a candy cane. And once, maybe about 12 years ago, I was traveling with a group of BBT devotees to various countries. It was a whirlwind tour. And we got to wherever it was, Vietnam or something like that. We got to the ticket counter and there was no seats. And we had a delegation of 5 or 6 people. And so while the person was typing and trying to figure out whether she could get us on the flight or not, I took a candy cane and I put it down, a lollipop, I put it in front of her. And she kind of smiled and then she goes, yes, I found some seeds. So one of my colleagues who was there, who's a real jokester, he put another one in front of me, goes, can we get an upgrade? That's how powerful, we didn't get an upgrade. But lollipops are powerful, so give them out liberally. We offer them to deities, bring them with you wherever you go. Makes a difference when you go to the bank. Don't just make a deposit, give them a candy cane. You don't go to the store without a candy cane. Give everyone in line a candy cane, everyone around you. And you'll notice by distributing prasadam, you'll always be blissful. Okay? Then, finally, get their contact information. So you can stay in touch, and that's a whole nother topic. And thank them for taking their valuable time. Tell them it was an honor to meet them. So you leave them with a good impression, because our prime directive is to leave everyone with a good impression. Divyanam, time check.
35 minutes.
We have 35 minutes left. Okay, we're going to do in about 5 minutes. We're going to do an exercise. Do you have online the at a glance for the presentation? Okay, give a soft copy to everybody so you can follow it, because what we're going to do in about 5-6 minutes is we're going to stand up. I'm going to ask everyone to pick a partner, and then one of the two of you will have a book in your hand, and then you're going to go through these steps just to practice it one time. And then you go the other side, and the other person gets to practice it once. Okay?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Okay. And here's what I need to tell you about distributing to Hindus,
They know,
aka Indians. You what?
they know everything.
They know everything, exactly. So don't give them a book, don't give them a lollipop, don't give them a card. I can't emphasize it enough, and if you do, don't blame me if they don't take anything. Here's what happens. Don't hand them anything. In fact, if they're reaching for it, put it behind your back, because as soon as you hand it to them, the deal's over. Next is just make friends. And how do you make friends? Ask them where they're from, make them feel special. Where are they from? Andhra Pradesh. Oh, Gujarat. I love Gujarat. Jagane Jadava Krishna Re Govardiya Tuji Bina Tina Madhona Jase. You can sing them some Gujarati Narsi Mehta songs. Or Kamcho, and they can feel at home. I love Gujarat. It's the best place I've ever been. Gujaratis are all my friends. Make friends with them. No handing anything to anybody. Ask where they're from. Appreciate where they're from. Where's their hometown? They're from Andhra Pradesh. They're from Delhi. They're from Gurugram. Wherever it may be, appreciate it. And use this phrase liberally. What's the phrase? Yeah, and actually it's you know better than I, but I'm sorry about that. You know better than I, and we just tell them, you know all this, and I tell them that you know Bhagavad Gita. Here, you can stand here, I'll tell you. Kamcho. You know Bhagavad Gita. Your mother read Bhagavad Gita every day, and your grandmother memorized Bhagavad Gita. And that's exactly what they were about to tell me. So they're going, ma, 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 ma. They don't know what to say now because I just took all their lines. And then I say, and as you know better than I, the world's problems come from ignorance. And the Bhagavad Gita is the jewel of India. It shows how to people to solve problems from the inside out in a spiritual way. Now, you already know this, and this is not for you. This is not for you. Try to grab it. Nope, it's not for you. This is for others, because you already know this. Your mother read Bhagavad Gita and your grandmother memorized Bhagavad Gita. And as you know better than I, this is the most important book in the world. Now, what we're doing for other people who don't know about it is we're printing Bhagavad Gita in languages all over the world. In Spanish, in French, in German. And we're opening centers where young people can learn Bhagavad Gita. If there's a young person near you, one of you chant a Bhagavad Gita shloka. Stand up. Who knows a shloka? Quick, quick, quick. Jump, jump. Jump over here. Face the audience and go. Say the verse. Haribo! And so we've got fine-looking young people just like this who are learning the whole Bhagavad Gita, and we're teaching them all over the world how to teach Bhagavad Gita to others. So today, we're doing a fundraiser. Everyone say fundraiser. And we are collecting money. Everyone say money. And we just ask everyone to give a donation. That's before you hand them any book. You tell them they already know it and everything about it. And so thank you very much. And then fundraiser, we just ask for money. Then they'll donate liberally, right on the spot. They'll give you huge stacks of money they'll hand right there, bags full. And if they swipe a card, zeros are going to be on the end. And then that's when you give them the books. Now you can pile them up with as many books you want. They'll be happy as anything. But if you try to do it ahead of time, what you're telling them is you're really messed up because you're Indian. You should have Bhagavad Gita. And they're going, no, I already know this. So don't do that. It freaks them out. So scan, and we're a couple of quick points is that today we're going out, but we're not going out to distribute books. It's not why we're doing this as a group. All we want to do is see what it feels like. We want to feel the exhilaration of walking out the door. That's all we want you to do. And getting to a spot, because the hardest part of this whole exercise is getting to the spot, because true movement is very difficult. You got to get in a car, or whatever you have to do to get to where we're going. And the only expectation today is you get to the spot, you touch it, the place, like on the pavement with your foot, and take a photo with as many devotees as you can. Everyone touch the pavement. You're done for the day. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to perform. Okay? Say yes.
Yes.
Once you've done that, seriously, all you have to do is you can watch, you can hang out. If you want to distribute a book at certain times, totally up to you. But there's no expectation today to go out and do this. Just try to feel what it feels like to walk out the door and be there in this place, and you'll get inspiration for the next time. Okay? So if your mom calls you in the next 5, 10, 20 minutes and says, please come home, I need a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Just tell her, look, Mom, after I go out and touch the pavement, then I'll get you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay? Yes.